All right, guys. I think that will wrap up our honorable mentions for you guys today. So Stuart, I think it's time to go ahead and start tackling our main topics. Are you ready,
Hell
sir?
yes. I'm
Let's
really
go
excited to talk about this.
ahead. Let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and switch things up here real quick though, because it's got to be fitting for some Power Ranger talk, baby. So I need to bring back my A plus more phenomenal vibes for this one, Stuart, as we get your thoughts. Because guys, this week, April 19th, this past week, we finally got the 30th anniversary special Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once and always over on Netflix. Wind up releasing, and boy, did this have some impact, Stuart. This thing was trending on Netflix here in the States all day. I think it was like number three. It's been trending all week, to be honest with you, over on Netflix. As the highest I saw it on the top movies was number three. When I got the opportunity to watch it twice as of yesterday, I think it was at number nine. So it's still up there on Netflix for people to go ahead and check it out if you certainly have not had the opportunity to do so. So please go ahead and do yourselves a favor and check out Once and Always. Look, it is rare that I have expectations for something and a project just sort of meets every one of them. And this is that project. I have been gushing about MMPR once and always for the longest time. What were my expectations? Like how hyped I was for this, really going towards it. And again, somebody that grew up literally watching the very first episode of MMPR, I had a lot of expectations on here, things that I certainly wanted to see, a lot of high hopes. And man, I got to tell you, the entire cast and crew really came through to give us something extremely special. And I had such a blast watching this. The two times that I have, I'm sure there's some probably plenty of people that watched it five, seven, nine, 10 times for all I know already. But man, I had such a fantastic time with this, Stuart. I truly did. So if you guys have not had the opportunity to check it out, please go ahead and do yourselves a favor. Everything in here just really worked. If I can give my overall thoughts. First off, just the intro alone, the music, how the music kicks in when you kind of get like the opening, written stuff on the screen and stuff, getting you hyped for the Power Rangers. And then just that opening shot, the slow-mo shot of Billy getting off the ground. I'm like, oh, we're starting off like this, right? Like already in the middle of action. I was gonna say it was the Michael Bay shot, but there is something cool about seeing like the fallen warrior getting up in slow motion and stuff. I'm like, again, attached with the great music already. I thought was just a brilliant move, a great way to immediately set the tone and pace for this particular special. I think Simon Bennett even talked this week about like certain shots that didn't quite make it into the show, like the posing with the explosions compared to the running with the explosions. And he mentioned the idea that they went with the running and the explosions for the intro because it was just that much more dynamic. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it worked tremendously well in regards to getting me hyped, seeing the Rangers come in to support their boy Billy, just charging towards the villains while the theme music winds up hitting. We got some great, incredible action pieces in here also. I love the Billy twirl to the back elbow to Rita. I was like, oh my God, like it literally just truly set the tone for me in here and it blew me away. Great emotional moments, honestly. I really enjoyed some of the dialogue in here. It just felt like classic Power Rangers, but mature. Like they elevated their game in a sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Like it had elements of Power Rangers in the sense of like, look, cheesy one-liners, right? The dad jokes. You got to get the dad jokes in there from time to time. Maybe not the best performances all the time. And I mean, like in the sign of like executing some of the dialogue, it can kind of be a little bit cringy from time to time. But that's like classic Power Rangers, I feel like. But aside from that, just the meat of the plot and the script and the story was just so intelligent and well executed, to have some really pivotal sort of emotional moments, whether that be Billy and Min and Zach. For me, it just truly carried this particular series, or this particular special. Again, you put that along with the great original footage that we wind up having in regards to fighting, the great music, even the CGI Megazord stuff really got me hyped, honestly. Like the idea of sitting back and watching them recreate sort of the configuration of the Megazord using, I think they utilized the blueprints that Hasbro had for the Zord Ascension project. And that was one of my things that I think somebody had asked, like, Adam, if there was something that you would like to see in Once and Always, what would it be? And I said, I want to see the Zord come together classic style, but in a more modernized way. And boy, when they started doing it, I got out of my seat. I was so excited to kind of see this Megazord be put together. It looked flawless. Look, the Megazord battle itself in regards to the CGI, look, I can understand some people maybe not necessarily being the most thrilled with it, but considering where we've come with Power Rangers, especially for the budget that they have, I thought it looked pretty good to me. I really had no complaints about it, but I can understand if some people certainly did. But this thing just had a little bit of everything. It still had your great messaging. Getting the opportunity to see Min's journey for this was pretty spectacular. I love the fact that they had really Walter Jones as Zach kind of. I'm glad that they gave him such a meaty role, being sort of like the adopted uncle, if you will, for Min after the tragedy that winds up striking. I just think they just did a great job of giving everybody the respect that they certainly earned after all these years and really highlighted themselves extremely well. So again, I think you get that nostalgia and cheese factor from Power Rangers in here, but still very much a mature and intellectual storyline. And even like the explanation of how Rita actually comes back was really well thought out, and getting the opportunity to see the flashback and what Billy was what was trying to do, and certainly what happened. So immediately raised the stakes. Barbara Goodson coming back as Rita feels like she just did not fall off at all. She sounded fucking incredible as Rita in here. I was just super pleased, man. I mean, every expectation I had in going into this, they met and certainly exceeded. And look, Stuart, I'm gonna be honest, man. I need more. I need more. And I honestly am hoping that Netflix and Hasbro are certainly paying close attention, because the fact that this is still trending on Netflix, half a week in, I think definitely speaks volumes. You go over to Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave it 92%. Granted, that's only out of 13 reviews, but critics gave it 92%. Audience score right now is still chilling at 89. So people are still really enjoying this. If I had to grade it, I'm probably right there with them all. Give me an A for this, if not maybe an A minus. Again, just simply because of the fact of maybe just some of the cheesy lines and the underperforming of certain lines and things like that. Because when's the last time we've seen Catherine Sutherland or Steve Cardenas, acting in a movie or a big time television series sort of thing? But I do think David Yost, especially Walter, I think Walter just really hella impressed me in here. He definitely just had that dad vibe about him in regards to giving Min some really great advice and helping her sort of along the way. And Charlie Kersh was incredible in here, honestly. The sort of attitude that she had, the resentment, the pushback that she certainly gives, the lessons that she certainly learns, and the full circle that she really comes in becoming a Power Ranger. I think they did a great job of casting her, man. So overall, man, give me an A for this project. I was hella impressed, Stuart. But man, I had to gush about this, bro. I had to gush about this. But I want to know your brief overall thoughts. How did you take this particular special?
I think almost everything you said, like, I 100% agree with. So I think this special was perfect. It was everything that it needed to be. It was the perfect balance between like pleasing like hardcore Power Rangers fans that have been keeping up with the show for the 30 years, and just being an overall perfect show for people that maybe never watched anything after Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Mhm.
Things that Easter eggs that essentially are very deep cut. They're basically spoken in a way to where if you didn't watch the original show or you didn't get it, it still just feels like regular kind of dialogue. So it's not going to like take you out of it. But for the fans that really know the show, there's going to be a lot of moments where they're going to be going, oh, that means something like completely different. A lot of cool. I really like that the fan service was there, but it was definitely underplayed, and it never took away from the overall story that they were trying to tell. And then yeah, when it comes to the Megazord sequence, so it's kind of funny. I love the actual sequence of the Megazord like forming. I actually do agree with you. Like that was probably one of the biggest highlights when they recreated the
I got
formation
so
of the
hyped. I was like,
Megazord.
yeah. I was
Yeah,
so hyped.
like that was incredible. I was not the biggest fan of the overall battle. Like I didn't
I
think it
get you.
was bad, but yeah, I do think
Mhm.
that like that's where the CG definitely showed how kind of cheap it was. Not bad though, but definitely could have used a little tune up. But I will say this though, a million times better than the Megazord from the 1995 Power Rangers movie for sure. um,
Yeah, yeah. I was actually trying to debate like which CGI that I think was better, the 95 movie or this, and I did like this one. I definitely did like this one better. But especially like the close-up shots, I think really did it for me because you can really see the details on the Megazord from just some of the battle scars and damage that it's had in the past. But yeah, I would have said hit or miss maybe in some of the action pieces, but I was still impressed in regards to the budget that they had and what they were able to create based off of that.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah, when it was like not doing too much movement, that's when I thought it looked like really good. When it was like kind of like when you didn't see it move too much, pretty much. And then the acting, the performances all around, there wasn't a single performance that I didn't like. Like you kind of mentioned, I think Catherine and Steve Cardenas were probably the weaker performances in the
Yeah.
special, but even then,
Outside of that, yeah.
I didn't think they were bad.
Mhm.
And plus, I think they did a good job of not like giving them too much screen time compared to Billy and Zach, who I thought were freaking incredible in this.
Incredible.
I
Mhm.
had my girlfriend was kind of mentioning that she thought like kind of Billy was a little bit flat in the movie with his acting, and I could kind of see that, but I also feel like it kind of helped just keep the continuity with his character because that's basically kind of how he was in the original show. Not because he was a bad actor, but because he was definitely always just the most like the most like kind of out of place out of all of them because he was just the nerd
Kinda
basically.
like
And
introvert. Yeah, that kinda
yeah, the
awkward
introvert.
kid, yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. So it works for his character. And I think to me, like the way we see him growing like as a character in the show and the way we see him now, it definitely feels very in line with that. And man, so I had one coworker who watched this special as well, and he and I both were agreeing on this. Walter Jones looks like he didn't age like maybe more than 2 or 3 years since the 90s. Because like if they had him playing like probably a freshman in college, I think we both would have bought it. But because like yeah, he and his performance I think was the best like in the special. I think like everyone did a great job, but I think the main highlight definitely had to go to Walter Jones. Something I thought this special does a really good job of, which is really really hard to pull off. You see a lot of Hollywood movies can't even pull this off. But the way it goes from drama to the Power Rangers camp
Oh,
that we all know and love, it never feels like tonal whiplash. Somehow the transition from one to another always feels like it's done so incredibly
the pacing
smoothly
was great.
that it never, yeah, the pacing was so perfect. It never takes you out when it goes from we just lost a dear friend, how are we going to tell our daughter, to the next scene you got Rita using a snake monster to turn the Power Rangers into action figures. The tonal whiplash, it's not there. It's so smooth, like the transition from silly to drama back to silly, it's so well done in this. And then
I
of
will
course
say, in regards to that particular scene, I will say the Billy or David Yost being a little bit flat for me was probably in that scene, but I felt like he definitely got better as the special certainly went on. Just that first scene of Billy and Zach in the room, trying to figure out, should we tell Min, should we not tell Min? I love the reveal that she walks in on them in the middle of conversation, and that's how she found out. I was like, oh no, like
Mhm.
the worst possible way that you could possibly come across to somebody. So I did really appreciate the reveal in that sense. So yeah, I would totally agree with you there. I was really impressed with that scene overall.
And then finally, because it's Power Rangers, we got to talk about the fights because I thought, while yes, there have been fights in the series that I think like stand out a little bit more. I think that every fight that we got in this was really well done. The choreography was absolutely perfect. And I even really liked that we got a good balance of in suit fights and then out of suit fights. So we got to see, the actors being able to really show off the fact that, they still haven't lost it pretty much over the years. They're still just as badass as when they were teenagers with attitude. So yeah, overall, perfect for what this needed to be, basically. I would definitely give this a solid A if I was rating it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, the choreography for the fight scenes were definitely there. I certainly appreciate it. Really had a fun time seeing Min take on some of the putties in the juice bar. We had already seen the clip, I think, of Rocky and Zach fighting in the juice bar also, but seeing them again in action, I think, was pretty epic in its own sense. Look, I'll be honest, man. I walked away just absolutely really loving this. To the point to where I finished watching it and I just thought to myself, I gotta watch this again. And I literally watched it like back to back because I just had that much fun with it. Let me go ahead and bring up some photos in here because I do want to give Charlie Kirsch just a lot of praise in what she was able to do here. I love the fact that she wasn't just the type of person to kind of sit back and let things kind of happen and people sort of dictate her future for her. I love the fact that, especially in this moment, she kind of stops Zach like right where she's at. And she's like, look, I've been planning a whole entire year for this stuff, right? Like, I've been training for this moment to happen. I'm probably at the same age you guys were when, my mom wind up taking up the mantle. This is something that I can do. And I just love the running sort of a point in this special where she continues to try and use the morpher over and over again, and it just does not work. And it doesn't work until she winds up actually giving a selfless act of her own to go ahead and absorb the shot that we see towards the very end, saving Billy. And the power from that shot, I don't know if it activated the morpher or if it's the morphing grid that certainly happened. Look, the morphing grid works in mysterious ways, but it definitely revived Min, gave her what she needed to go ahead and turn into our new Yellow Ranger in here. And so I just thought this was a really great sequence. I thought Charlie Kirsch just did an amazing job of really showcasing like her reasoning behind wanting to get some revenge. And I think that's what we kind of talked about in regards to when the main plot or synopsis kind of came out. The idea of them talking about revenge and using the word destroy and kill, right? It's very much a personal issue for her, and I love that she really bears a lot of that pain and revenge that she certainly wants to get on Rita. But again, another great performance by Walter Jones in here, and just giving a really great speech
Mhm.
about the idea of why you can't become a ranger just because you want to get revenge, that it's selfless, that you got to want to help people and actually achieve justice type of thing. And so the fact that Min learns that firsthand in here, I thought was a really great move for her character arc, to getting her where she certainly needed to go. And I thought it was just a really cool morphing sequence. Great special effects also in regards to just the instant morphs, even the brand new morphing sequences that we wind up having. I kind of wish that we had seen kind of like the suits going on type of thing, but I'll certainly give that a pass for the most part. But other than that, man, really, really great stuff. I'm trying to think of some other like little tidbits that really jumped out at me that certainly felt worth talking about. The tribute, Stuart, because look, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be honest. I cried at least one time, and it was definitely the tribute and the ending. I definitely teared up on several different occasions. Probably a lot of the Min and Walter Jones sort of interactions, and talking a little bit about Trini definitely got me teary eyed. But for me, it was the Kimberly song at the end that really wrapped up a beautiful tribute to both JDF and Tui Trang. Definitely wind up getting just the tears kind of streaming, if you will. And I really love just the brand new sort of intro. Visual that they wind up having, also like remaking the intro for MMPR, but with the cast as they are today. I thought that was a really nice touch to go ahead and end off this special. So overall, man, give me more, Hasbro. Give me more. I know I know they got a lot going on with the Jonathan Entwistle stuff, but there's got to be a way for us to get these Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back in some capacity, whether that be a special or a season. But I'm here for it. Would you like to see more, Stuart, or what?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't even mind like, if they wanted to wait till after Cosmic Fury, see how that does. If they wanted to do like a whole new season, still in the main like Prime Power Rangers universe, but have like Min now leading a new team of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It'd be a good way to like kind of because there's the whole thing within the Power Ranger fan base where they're like they need to move on from MMPR, but the truth is, MMPR when it comes to merchandise, that's what sells really well. So I think like the best way to kind of keep that going where while still being able to like kind of keep that Prime Universe going is probably having Min lead a new team of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like a new generation. You could even probably bring in JJ because he was name dropped several
Reference,
times
yeah.
in this special, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, I think there's definitely room for more. But here's the thing though. I'm going to be totally honest. If we don't get more, I'm not going to be mad because at least I know that we had such a solid note to end everything on. So I'm not going to be upset if this is the last of like the Prime Power Rangers universe that we get, and then the reboot, like is like all we get going forward. Because at least we can know that Power Rangers ended on such a strong high note. Like even if which I don't think it will, but even if Cosmic Fury sucks, at least we had this.
Yeah, no, I totally would agree with you there. If we don't get any further continuations, I think the special did exactly what it was supposed to do. I think it definitely did its job, did its duty. If this is the last sort of iteration of this franchise as we know it, seeing these MMPR Rangers, I think they did a remarkable job in that regard. So I totally agree with you. But it is a part of me that's like, man, I hope they figure out something in regards to how to go ahead and bring some of these characters back once again. Let me see what some of you guys are saying in our comment section, and then if anything, we'll give some further thoughts on this. Cody says, "I've seen worse CG." Talking about
Oh,
CW. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
totally, totally. Um, Blossom says the Bandora Protocol idea was amazing, having all the Rangers from the past 30 years come to help. I thought that was pretty cool. It's like they not necessarily come to help all together, but like coming to help in whatever city that they were certainly in, right? Because I think everybody was being attacked at that.
Not so like not that it bothered me that they didn't do this. I'm just surprised they didn't because it would have been easy that we didn't have like kind of just in suit battles with like some of these other
Oh,
rangers like all throughout the city.
just
Just
bringing the stunt actors.
yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't you wouldn't have to like get any of the actors to come back. You could just show brief footage on like the monitors or something like that. Maybe see a news reel where it shows Power Rangers from all across the country or working together, and then maybe see like kind of maybe a shot of the Beast Morpher Rangers, show a shot of the Samurai Rangers, maybe kind of go down the line. But again, I'm not mad that they didn't do that. Totally fine with it. I'm totally fine with it being like MMPR, like Mighty Morphin Power Ranger focused. I'm just surprised they didn't. Is all.
I just want to give a quick shout out to the director, Charlie Haskell. I thought he did a remarkable job. Again, I even talked about the idea of just the slow motion addition in here. I thought worked really well. Great angles really helped add to just the cinematic feel of it at times. So yeah, Charlie, I think did a remarkable job. And then also shout out to Becca and Alwyn, the writers for this. Also, one of the things that we talked about for the longest time is, originality is key. When they announced a long time ago, or the speculation of Hasbro and Toei potentially splitting and not utilizing Super Sentai footage anymore, one of the things that we were always so emphasized so much is you got to let go of these creative handcuffs, and the idea of moving to something like Netflix definitely allows for that. And the fact that we get to see Becca and Alwyn sort of in this new light, pushing the narrative and pushing Power Rangers, still allowing Power Rangers to be digestible for everybody, but also showcasing us like, hey, we can tell better stories than what you've seen certainly in the past. And a lot of that I do think has come from the creative handcuffs that have certainly been placed on it, because seeing something like that once and always on Netflix just shows me that they can really get into their bag and have intelligent storytelling with some really deep emotional moments for some of these Rangers that really helped a lot of their character growths. And so for me, you balance that out so incredibly well. Again, we talked about how important and great the pacing was. To be able to do that along with some of that Power Ranger cheese, but yet original and epic fight sequences, I think just goes to show you just how good that they truly can be. So I definitely want to put some respect and give some shout out to the writers for this as well. We got video DVD in here. What's up, man? He says that the special was amazing. Totally agree. Blossom says Barbara still got it after 30 years. I imagined her voice for my counterpart for Wagon in our Tokuger adaptation. Yeah, Barbara Goodson certainly came through for this as well. I was hella impressed, man, with what she did. Who else? Marcelino, he says, I think Min's a cool character. I wouldn't mind seeing more of her, but Charlie's acting needs to improve a bit in regards to the fight scene. Scenes where she's talking in civilian modes are fine. I was pretty good with her. I had no problems
Mhm.
with her performance.
I just feel like we didn't get to see her full potential because, like, 90% of the special, she's just angry, and that's kind of like the only emotion we get to really see from her for a lot of it. But I think that, like, if we got like another thing with her in it, if we got to see her do more than just being angry, then we could like really see how good she can be.
Byron, what's up, Byron? Says this right here is how you celebrate a franchise, from the storytelling to the acting and the pacing. Job well done. Totally agree, Byron. Totally agree. Um, Ram Jam says, I like the line from Min to Zach. Are you breakdance fighting? Yeah, that was a good one. There was another great line that I liked in here from Alpha 9 when when he says Zach's like, can we get the room real quick? And he's like, I'm sensing a vibe or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great line. Um,
I absolutely love that we got like the voices back for both Alpha and Rita, like sounding like they have it again, like kind of like with
did
Zach
Campbell
physically
do
looking. Oh
did Campbell Cooley do the voice for Alpha 9
no,
originally?
it was the original voice actor.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
from the original show. Yeah, which is really surprising because he's like now a huge voice actor because he does like Invader Zim. He did Billy from Billy and Mandy. But yeah, both of them sounding like almost exactly the same, like as they did in the MMPR days.
Let's see here. We got Matthew in here. Good afternoon. I love this special. I have seen it multiple times. I wouldn't mind a short mini series of MMPR or even specials around Time Force, Lightspeed Rescue, and Lost Galaxy. We'll definitely see. I don't know if we're gonna get those, but I definitely think we'll get maybe we'll get more MMPR at least. Um, JB says, what? He says, it was a good special. Was just confused how Rita got the Galaxy Rangers. And at times I was pissed at Min. Yeah, look, I mean, I can definitely understand the pushback against the Min in regards to, but look, when you're harboring that type of resentment, you say a lot of hurtful shit to people, unfortunately. And Billy just got in the way of that. And at first, I look, and again, this is where it goes to just the great storytelling. Um, the idea of when, Min talks back to Billy in the sense of like, it's your fault that my mom's not here. And she's like, that stung, huh? Like, oh my God, like she's really going after this guy. I honestly thought that she meant the idea of, hey, my mom sacrificed herself for you because you couldn't man up and take care of business yourself, right? But that's not what she was talking about.
Hmm.
What she was talking about was him releasing Rita. And I thought it went great from that moment right into the flashback to be like, that's what she's talking about. Again, just great storytelling and how you execute and pull these reveals to us as a viewer. I think really went that extra mile, man. So I was hella impressed with what they did there.
Like, yeah, I totally agree. Like, that was the moment where I actually thought I was gonna hate her character until we get the flashback, and then you're like, okay, I can see why someone her age would, hold that kind of resentment towards, Billy because of that.
Right.
Yeah,
And then, but it
totally
also
agree.
builds up, but then it also at the same time builds up that emotional arc for Billy in the
Hmm.
sense that he too has been carrying around that weight. That it's not just the idea that, hey, she sacrificed herself for me, but I was really the cause of this sort of thing. And I'm just like, man, it gives me chills just like talking about it because just how impactful it is and how much you can see it really has weighed on both those characters after all that time. So really great emotional stuff in here, man. Yusai says, I honestly wish that they showed other Rangers doing their thing during the worldwide putty attack, even for a few moments. We know the suits are still used because Sentai had used them in Don Bros. Just like what you had mentioned, Stuart, right? That if there
Hmm.
was anything that you would have liked to have seen, it's just definitely that moment.
Yeah.
JB says what says I like Billy saying, "Come get these hands." I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit startling to kind of see him, um, not only as the leader ish, but like at the head of the Megazord. Like it definitely took some time for me to certainly get accustomed to it, but I thought it was a cool scene for sure.
To me, it kind of made the most sense because, like, looking in Zio before he unfortunately had to leave the show due to the harassment behind the scenes, there was like a portion of the show where even though he wasn't a ranger, he was kind of like the mentor for the Rangers during Zio.
Um, Yusai also says, also David killed it, but Walter really hasn't lost a single step. The dude looks amazing and is still killing the game. Also, we heard Billy say, "Catch these hands." What world are we living in? And I got to admit, yeah, I'm so glad David Yost certainly came back. It was so incredibly great to see him. Walter, for me, I think was really the star of this. And again, that's not taking anything away from David Yost because I think he certainly delivered. Both of these gentlemen, those two and Charlie Kirsch for me were definitely the stands out. But there was something just about Walter. He just definitely brought his A game, not just fighting, but just really getting into his performance bag and just made me feel just very believable as an actor. Um, Ram Jam says, I guess Billy in this special is Tony Stark, talking a little about Cranston Tech here, and it was kind of cool. They had the technically, I'm assuming that Cranston Tech is his business, but I would assume underground is where his command center is because he seems like he said like he keeps it secret from other people and even his employees. So it seems like the command center is under his job. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm trying to think of other. That feels very comic booky. I can't think of any comic book characters off the top of my head that do that, but I feel like that's got to be somewhat of a common thing. I think no. I think didn't Arrow do that? Didn't Arrow have like the Arrow base like underneath his mayor's office at one point?
Office, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah, these are just some great shots, guys. If you haven't had to check out, I think Netflix really released some great promotional banners and posters for this particular series. Over the past couple of days, they've literally have been bombarding us with behind the scenes footage and clips over on Twitter. If you want to check it out, so while we didn't get a lot of promotion leading into it, they definitely have been spoiling us with, "Hey, look how this kind of came together," all week long, man, and it's been pretty spectacular to certainly go ahead and watch. I think Simon Bennett even mentioned that they utilized the original voices of Amy, Jason, and Austin St. John from the original series for their voiceover works. I don't think it's like brand new ADR work that they managed to get like from JDF or Amy Joe before his passing or anything like that. It seems very much like they utilized what they some of the original content that they had originally.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, hella impressive if you ask me,
Which
Stuart.
okay, so if that is the case, if they had all that footage or that audio on like, some sort of like hard drive somewhere and they were able to just use that, my question is then why'd they have to redub the stock footage in the last couple of
The
seasons
last
when they
one.
had like the clip shows? Because if
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
because like the excuse that I've heard was that the music, they didn't have the licensing for the music anymore, and that's why. But if they are able to like isolate the audio like they were in the special, couldn't they have done the same thing with those previous seasons?
You would think so, but at least that's what I read from Simon Bennett himself. Unless I misread it, but I'm pretty sure they used um, the original audio from back in the day.
Yeah, it was very well done. Also, that's another thing I got to give this special credit for is I thought not only was the soundtrack really good, bringing back
Yeah,
Ron Wasserman, but I
yeah.
also just thought the sound mixing itself was really well done. When yeah, the way they used the original audio, but they made it so it sounded just so clean. It didn't sound like something from the '90s. Even like during the end credit scene when you have Amy Jo Johnson singing that one song at the end sounded incredibly clean.
Yeah, no, I totally would agree with you. Johnny says, "Hey Adam, honestly, I think Robo Minotaur and Snizzard are like the Bebop and Rocksteady of this special. What do you think?" Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, man, guys, overall, lived up to our expectations and more. Again, for me, if there was any weak moments in this, it probably was maybe just some of the cheesy one-liners that are very Power Ranger traditional, and maybe some of the not so strong performances at times. And I think that's pretty much like what you mentioned. I think if there was anybody that was kind of the weakest link, it felt like Catherine Sutherland and Steve Cardenas. But I appreciate them still at least giving them the content that they were able to go ahead and deliver for us in here. But aside from that, and I think the only other complaint I had was maybe the reaction to Trini's passing, her death, them at the rock cliff. I kind of wanted to have seen maybe a little bit more emotion from them, like the stunt actor in Kimberly's, falling to her knees and stuff. Like she was just really in pain. I thought was really heart wrenching. But like I literally watching fucking Jason in his Red Ranger costume come up behind Billy and pat him on his back. Like, what the fuck? Like, pat him on his back, bro. You should be like wailing right now. Like you just lost a team member. So and it's funny because I think even David Yost came out and said, they originally wanted to do that scene first of taking off their helmet and stuff, but I think David said he immediately regretted it after watching it because I think that's maybe a moment you kind of want to warm up to, especially if you haven't been in
Mhm.
front of the camera or performing in a really long time. You know what I mean? To really hit that emotional oomph. So yeah, I am kind of curious as to how the filming for this special went, if they really did it in order, like scene for scene for scene, because it does feel like maybe rocky performances at the very start, but like after that reveal from of Min finding out about her parents and then that 1 year later, I think it really did pick up and we wind up getting some really strong performances from some of the other actors in here as well. So yeah, man, stellar stuff. Give me some more. I absolutely loved it, and I think we both grade this about an A right now. I see some 8.5s. I probably would give it a 9 because I didn't really have too much to complain about besides that. But I just think this was very much Power Rangers, but matured, and I really appreciate Simon Bennett, Charlie Haskell, Becca and Alwyn really delivering something that fans of new generation and old generation can walk away really, really pleased that this is how you guys portrayed our beloved MMPR Rangers. So thank you so much, guys, for that. And yeah, we'll see what the future definitely holds.